Hello and welcome back to the show. So I'm really excited about my guest today because she is a really experienced real estate agent, actually a top producer who is currently in the top 1.5% of all realtors nationwide. She is a four-time author, podcast host herself, and of course, a life and real estate agent coach, helping other real estate agents achieve success, inspiring them to follow their purpose and live in their passion as well. So our guest today is Debbi DiMaggio. Debbie, welcome to the show. I'm really excited to have you on and have you share a little bit about your experience today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. So before we get into kind of today's episode and the value that you're going to provide, I just want to, give you an opportunity for our listeners out there who may not know who you are. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background? I mean, clearly you're really experienced. You've done quite a bit in many businesses. So would you mind just taking the opportunity here and sharing a little bit about, your start and how you got to where you are here today?
Absolutely. So I always start with the only thing I knew I did not want to do when I was growing up and when I was in high school and college was I did not want to be in real estate. So long, 35 years later, have a thriving career in real estate. So when I was growing up, my dad he used to buy and sell properties. He had shopping centers. So different. I'm a residential real estate agent, so it is different. But back then, now when I go back, as I also when I say that, share that story, he was tied to the landline. There were no apps. There was no social media. You had to book your appointments on a landline. You had to be on a landline. It was very different. There was no internet. It was just different. So and that was the reason. He was always tied to the phone. He was always working. So the always working thing, that's fine because I like to work and I'm 24 hours a day. I'm obsessed, but that's just my nature. You don't have to be that crazy. But so the I always tried different jobs and I didn't like having a boss. I didn't like being told what to do. I wanted something that had meaning and purpose to me. So I always go back and talk to my 25-year-old self. When I was 25, I was like, I graduated from Cal Berkeley. There should be some aha job, that career that I want to do. Nothing is entering my mind about what that would be. So when I was 25, I was living in LA. I'm from Northern California and I was living in LA. And I was very depressed and I wrote down things that I liked. One of them was I love meeting people. I'm very curious. I love to ask questions. I love to learn about people from different cultures. I love helping people. I wanted something that had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, in commercial real estate or what my dad did, it seemed to go on forever, or a lot of jobs, it's not, you don't get that closure. I did not, this was not set up with, I want to be in real estate. This was just what I loved, what my purpose was, what I wanted to do. And then the other thing was so helping people and then a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I also wanted homework. I wanted it. So when I say that, I mean, I wanted to have what I was doing during the day so important and meaningful to me that I could even do it in the evening. So I didn't want it to be a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 7 or whatever people work in business hours these days. I didn't want it to be that. I wanted it to be part of my life. And it's so funny because fast forward, lifestyle realtor is kind of what everyone is these days. But I wanted to do something that was my life's purpose, not just a job. So I was in LA. I was working for a marketing department at Centinela Hospital. I worked for a magazine. And I think it was there when I said, I don't want a boss. I couldn't move up from classified to display. I mean, it was so low on the totem pole, but I was like, I like to work and I want to keep moving. And so I knew then, I'll never forget, I was on Washington Avenue working for Southern California Home and Design magazine. And I went into his office and that was when I like had the epiphany. I do not want a boss. I work hard. I am passionate. So then I got my real estate license, but I was still young. So I'm like, who's going to buy a house from someone so young? And then I moved back from LA to Northern California. I worked in mortgage for a while, but I'm a people person. I am not a numbers person. So I did not like that. The mortgage people are like, oh, you're going to do so good and you're going to do so well. And I'm like, I hate this. I have no desire to learn it. And then fast forward, a friend of my husband now, at the time, my boyfriend, his friend said, Debbie would be really great in rentals. She should come work with us. So that's when I started working at Unique Homes, doing rentals, strictly rentals. What was so great about it? It had a beginning, a middle, and an end. I got to meet people from all over. People were all coming into San Francisco. I worked with celebrities and movie people and, just people who were relocating. Back then, there was no Craigslist, there was no internet. It was like pick up the call, try to get a listing, find a tenant, but it was fast. And it was like, I loved it. I was just on fire. And that was really great. And then I got hooked up with a relocation company. And then that parlayed after a couple years doing the rentals. My husband and I started a rental department within another company. It was during a really bad time for finding jobs. So we wanted, my husband and Adam at the time, we wanted Adam to find a job that was not commission, but the economy was bad. So I just said, come, let's do rentals together because it's pretty lucrative. And in San Francisco, everyone was moving there and people were relocating here. So we did that. And then when we moved over to Piedmont to the East Bay, a friend's mother saw me and said, you should be selling with us over here. And I said, oh my God, how am I going to sell? I get the rentals. It's fast, it's easy. It's not a huge commitment for someone to want to rent a property. Now, buying is a whole different thing. Fast forward, got into rentals, was like in the top 10 of our company the first year. I just had my nose down. I listened. So here's where the lesson comes into people. I did not try to reinvent the wheel. It was there. It was happening. You can always add to it, but I just listened to my mentor. Mentor is another key thing. You've got to have mentors. I was listening to my mentor. I did what she said. I did not deviate. I did not question. So when I coach people and they try to question me, and I'm like, I've been doing this all my life. Anyway, so I got into real estate and that was 35 years ago. And here I am today, still doing it, loving it, and I'll never retire.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you got, your start in real estate kind of in a little bit different way than I think some people do, right? You kind of figured out what you didn't want to do in the beginning, and then you started to learn a little bit more about what it is that you do want. And then you got into, some different jobs relating around real estate, and you realized that, they really weren't for you. That's really not fitting your personality and what it is that you want to do. And then you ended up finding your success as an agent. So you mentioned that, when you were first starting out, you were quite young as well. And, at that time, I think a lot of, agents coming into the industry are around that age, and even now as well. And they're struggling with, I guess, that same problem that maybe you did in the beginning, which is, who would actually listen to me and trust me as somebody who was a little bit younger, who, may or may not have owned a home themselves. How did you kind of overcome that, I guess, objection that you've created for yourself, or objections that the clients would maybe throw at you when you were talking to them?
Right. And so there, I was actually on a interviewing someone else on my podcast, and my husband says this a lot too. So what we have, being in the business is what we have. We have experience, knowledge, and skill. So I was talking to an agent who, when she started out in a new city in Chicago, knowing no one, she didn't have experience, but she could get skills and knowledge. She could build that. So immersing yourself, whether you're going on, not whether, all of the things. You're going on tour, you're understanding the inventory, you're looking at those houses, you're asking questions, you're learning about, well, what is a pest report? What's a good home inspection to a bad home inspection? What are the ordinances in this area? My ordinances in the East Bay and my city ordinances in LA are very different. The mindset from Northern California to Southern California are extremely different. Once you know mindset of different areas, you start to like, okay, so now when you're speaking to these clients, you might not have sold a house, but you have so much knowledge to give, right? So you're, oh, do you know about a sewer lateral? Oh, we should be looking at this. So you're talking from intelligence and you're giving them information that most people won't know because they don't buy and sell houses all the time. But as a new agent, go hard on the skill and knowledge. So there's classes you can take. I know with Corcoran, we have so much training, and it's ongoing training. You start with us. We hired someone yesterday, and We have like it's called Propel, and it just immerses you. So that's that kind of training. Then there's role playing. This woman would go home to her husband and she would role play a buyer's broker agreement. She would be having a conversation, about it. So she knew how to deliver it. So you can go hard on the knowledge and skill. And right now, because of social media, you can learn so much on TikTok and Instagram, and there's all kinds of amazing realtors out there you can learn from. So just really immerse yourself into knowing, understanding. And then if you're good on social media and you like that sort of thing, which I think is great, I don't mind talking to someone like this, but I don't want to talk to the camera on Instagram. I wish I could, but it's not my thing. But if you are good at that thing, then you go out and share on social media and you become that expert because people are seeing you time and time again. And so with this day and age, the young people can way out excel what I've ever done because you just have so many more tools than we ever did.
Right. It's about, finding what your strengths are, right? Because everybody starts at, I guess, technically zero, right?
Yeah,
Even somebody who's, as successful as yourself, people will look at you, I'm sure, who are maybe a little bit newer to the industry, and they're like, how can I ever catch up to Debbie, right? She's been in the business for, much longer than I have. She has sold much more houses than I have. But what they don't hear is how you got started in pretty much the exact same position that they did as well, and you had the, you said, even less tools than people are starting out today, and you were able to make it work, right? So it's just kind of depending on your mindset, whether or not you believe you can go out there and learn the skills and be able to deliver value to your potential clients. Would
absolutely.
you say that? Correct?
Absolutely. Because I do coach a lot as well, and I have new people on my team that are young, and I see that they have passion when they come in. They've worked so hard to get the license. They may have not passed the first couple times, then they get it. And then they sign up with NAR, and then they sign up with the MLS, and then they get their signs, and then they get their business cards. So they're going like this and they're all excited. Then all of a sudden they flatline and they're like, now what? I'm in real estate, but now what? And then a lot of them just plummet. Some quit, some, they don't come into the office. They come and do their training with me. And then they're just kind of like, okay, I did an open house on Sunday. No, you have to go all in or forget it. This is not a part-time job. And you have to be patient with yourself, whether it takes 6 months or a year or 2 years. But once it happens, so think of that. Let's say you don't sell a home for 2 years. Let's say think of that 2 years as you're in college and you're learning. Just soak it up, learn, 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 take the courses, take the classes, get certifications, get designations. I just now have my senior real estate specialist as for seniors because I've always worked with seniors. Now I've kind of put a little stamp on it. There's the relocation specialist, there's all kinds. So degree up, certify up, start, hang out in the office. I don't care if there's one person there or two people there. If there's 10, great. I don't care if there are one or two people there. You are going to get called on to either come with the broker to go on tour, you know, get a lead because someone's like, I don't have time, and that person's always there. I had an agent I was coaching. She was in real estate, kind of, and she wanted to be full time, but she also had her other job, and she was in it for a couple years, and she finally said, okay, I'm gonna work with you. So we decided to work together. I said, be in that office, be the person that everyone sees. Yes, I'm here for the open house. Yes, I can sit on your broker's open. Yes, I can attend that inspection. Yes, yes, yes. When you say yes, people are going to see you. You're going to have credibility. They're going to have trust. There's going to be so many things that's going to be built around you. And long and the short of it, she ended up getting picked up by a team, and she quit that job and off she went. And I can't tell you how many times when you're in the office, that person gets the opportunity. Or when, we have a lot of listings, and when I call on very few people to host my open houses. I don't want to call someone that says no, 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 yes, no, 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 yes. I want to call the person who says yes, 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 yes. Don Hinckley gets it every time because he says yes and he follows up really well. He always shares who is at the open houses. It's our listing. He brings his brochures for the 2.5 hours. He removes them from the house. He puts our brochures back out. I mean, there's so many little things, but if you want to be that, so believe me, if I get a referral, I'm going to send it to him. I want him to succeed because he's helping me succeed. So just you have to show up, you have to be credible. There's so many agents who they come into the office and we do the training and everything, and then you never see them. And I'm like, we supposedly have 80 agents, but I see 1% of them. And so what are you doing? Yes, there's a time to be in the field, but there's also a lot of time, I bet they're at home or they're fooling around or they're doing whatever, or just not. Are they actually out there meeting people one to one, having business meetings? Are they actually, out and about doing real estate stuff? Are they really out on tour? If you're in the office and you're giving, it's the whole giver's gain thing. If you're in the office and you're sharing and you're collaborating, things will happen, I guarantee it.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important for agents to put themselves in environment where they can find opportunities and opportunities can find them as well, right? Because if they're never, around other agents, if they're never around their office, their company, then there's no way for them to actually find these opportunities. And these opportunities can't essentially come into their lap as well. And then you mentioned also you have to be willing to go after it, right? You can't, kind of cherry pick, I don't want to go out there. I'll only go out there, right? If you're starting out, you really want to be successful, you just got to be able to take all the opportunities that come your way and really pursue them, right? Because you never know when, another opportunity is going to come, come across your table. So you really got to just jump on them when you have the chance.
Absolutely. So three things came to mind. The first one was I was picturing as you were repeating what I said about being in the office. I'm like, if you're an intern or interns, those interns at hospitals and doctors offices, those interns are not barely sleeping, barely eating, are exhausted, but they're in there because that's how they're going to learn. We don't have those kinds of conditions in real estate, but if you're not in learning about medicine and all the different things that go on in a hospital, how are you going to in real estate, how are you going to learn? You're not going to learn through osmosis sitting at home, waiting for the phone to ring. So that's number one. The other one, oh, what was the other one? Oh, I had another one that I wanted to point out. Well, it'll come back to me. But yes, showing up is just crucial. Being there. Oh yeah, what I was going to say about Don. So he will, what his response to me is, when I say, will you hold open this? And that might be a $600,000 condo. And then there's opportunities for $2 and $3 million houses. But when I say, will you hold open X? And I said, oh, it's not that high of a price point. He's like, wherever you want me, Debbie, wherever you want me. And then a lot of times he'll do both Saturday and Sunday open houses. And that's the other thing. People talk about, oh, I did an open house. I'm doing an open house on Sunday. Well, I was interviewing another agent, and many of the agents I interview on my podcast, they don't do just one open houses. This one guy was doing an open house Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. He was putting himself in different locations. Now, people probably think, oh, it's to sell the house. Well, yeah, it is to make it available, and the listing agent needs it available, but it's also putting you it's marketing. It's free marketing. When people say, oh, it's so much, I don't have any money, I can't advertise. Social media is free. Putting your sign out on the street is free. Meeting people one on one is free. Doing open houses every day is free. So you're going to sit and work and do your mailing or return emails, hook up your Wi-Fi to your phone. When people try to say there's excuses, I'm like, there is no excuse. I'm not even a techie and I know I learned how to connect my Wi-Fi to my phone. So work from the open house from 5 to 7. You're at an open house. People are coming home from work. People are walking on the street. They come in, you have a conversation. You're putting yourself in a place where there's a house and people like to look at homes and to have a conversation. And if you have one good conversation and then 5 years later they call you, was it worth it? I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, putting yourself out there, you have to find these opportunities for you to do this, right? So as an agent, that's a really great way to do this because I think a lot of agents think that you can only do open houses or I guess you should only do open houses on the weekends and they don't think, if I have the opportunity, why not do it every day? Because now that exposes, me to more people that are potentially looking to buy or sell. And then also you mentioned it doesn't have to be right away. Is usually, in real estate, it's not right away. but these are people that you can nurture. These are people that you can put in your database. And if it's, 3, 5, even maybe longer than that later, if you truly believe that you want to be in the real estate industry long term, then of course that's going to be worth it to you because, that's a potential client for you down the line. That's somebody that can refer you to somebody else that they know, right? And that could be, leading to more opportunities and more business as well. So something else that you mentioned earlier on was the fact that you love collaborating with other agents and you also, like seeing other agents collaborating with each other.
Right.
Usually when I guess maybe people who are newer or, agents who are maybe stuck in a certain production level, when they look at somebody like yourself, they think, man, this top producing agent, they're probably never going to share their secrets with me because they know it all and I don't know anything. So talk on that a little bit. Why do you think it's so important for agents to collaborate with each other and really not, I guess, hold any secrets so that way they can truly learn from each other and, open up their horizon.
Absolutely. So one of the things, we're all different. We're all in different parts of our lives. Whether, when I was new, I had young kids. Now I'm not even in the school system at all. So there's no way I'm competing with the younger agent. They have a whole separate circle. So you've got the 20 something year old and they have their network. They have a powerful network of people that will be buying. Then you have the young people are starting to get married. I'm not in that demographic. I mean, yes, I could get referred to these people, but they're in their circle. Everyone has their circle of friends, and then their friends and their friends. And if they're part of a networking group or if they're part of a social group or whatever their community is, whether it's gardening, golf, or knitting, they're in their group. So you're going, let's say 20s, 30s, 40s, now then I was in the empty nest phase. And then now I'm like, I don't have grandchildren, but but my kids are in their late 20s and early 30s. So I'm in a different group. And then I specifically like to help people downsize. So I love to get houses ready for market. So figure out it's ideal to try to figure out a niche. You can of course serve all types of people. We came up with a tagline, luxury is a service, not a price point, because we didn't want people to think, yes, of course you want your website to look pretty, but and you want to showcase prettier homes because it's more fun. People want to look at pretty homes, but we also wanted to let people know it's not about the dollar, it's about the people, and everyone gets 5-star service. So that's super important to know. But so when you're young and so going back to authenticity and collaborating. So we're all different, we're all unique, we're all authentic. We have our different groups. So I don't feel like I'm competing. I always take on interns. One summer I had 3 interns, and just if I just like when and they asked to come, and I said, well, if I'm going to have one, I might as well have three because I'm going to be talking about the. I'm like, just get in the car and let's go to an open house. Get in the car, let's go to an inspection. Get in the car, let's do this. So that's when you're mentoring people. It's really great to help them. You want to see them succeed, and you might bring them on your team, or you just might want to help them succeed. Some people want coaching and they want really to be focused in. And then I have big spreadsheets that starts empty and we build on it and I hold you accountable. But a lot of people don't want to be held accountable. So it's interesting with coaching. It's a big commitment and there's a lot of excuses. So I'm not one. I'm writing a whole book right now called Mindset in Motion, and it's the Mindset in Motion method. And no is just not an option. I ran the LA Marathon because I believed it was mindset and that was it. And I did. And I still don't know how I did it, but I did it. But I was trying to prove a point that you can have a goal and you can do it if you want to. You just have to have the right mindset. So collaborating with young people or new agents doesn't have to be new people, it could be someone my age that's new. So I like to help people. That's just in my nature. And because we have different backgrounds and different everything and different groups, I don't feel it's competition. Once in a while things overlap, but it really the seller, the client has to connect with someone. So they may connect with someone who's less experienced, but they may have a better connection. So that will happen. So let's talk about collaborating with our peers, people that we do deals with. So one of the most important things is getting on the call and saying to an agent that works that might have a buyer. So you're calling the other agents at the other companies within your own company. I have this great property. In case you have anyone, I want to give you the heads up, it's coming soon. Or in a community, like we have a listing coming up in our neighborhood. So I want to send out a note to the local agents who I know sell in the area. You can just pull who sold property in XYZ community and call them and say, I have a listing coming up. If I have the listing, yeah, you can double lend it, but put it out there. That's, not likely all the time. So put it out to the other agents and try to sell the home for your client because we work together to make it happen. You want to work with the agents, so you collaborate with your agents to make the deal happen. And the other thing is when we're doing a deal and we're in a deal, we're serving our clients. We're not serving ourselves. We want to work to make sure that both buyer and seller, they come together. We're the neutral third parties. We want to have nice conversations. And also agents on the other side, they want to work with someone who's nice and kind and respectful to them. No one wants to work with an agent on the other side who's going to be a jerk. So those jerks, they're not going to get very many opportunities in a multiple offer situation because people won't want to work with them. So they might counter a different offer just not to take your offer, and then your client loses out. So you think you're a tough negotiator, but you're really not a nice person. And so, beware. No one's going to want to work with you. So be kind, be compassionate, be courteous. It's not about us. It's about serving our clients. And you can do that through kind conversation and collaboration. So super important. And then the other part is referrals. I love talking to agents around the world. I referred someone to an agent in Marbella, Spain, just networking, going to your, whether it's an Inman or your own company event, conference, get to know those other agents and, work referrals. Not only you'll make a 25% typically referral fee, but you're also going to find the right agent for that client. I'm not just going to look to see some random person. I'm going to refer it to that person and no, I'm going to follow it. I'm going to make sure it's the right fit for that person. I might look at 3 people in the town and say, this person I think would work really well with you, and then follow through and kind of keep in touch with it. And it really helps. And then everyone was like, thank you for giving me that referral. That he or she was really great. And I had a really good experience. And then again, that comes back to you. So just being of service is super important, and giving. And it comes back. A lot of people say, why do you give so much? What do you get for doing X? And it's like, it makes me feel good, number one. And I do believe it always comes back and it manifests in some other way.
Yeah, I think it absolutely does because, like you mentioned, if you're an agent out there who thinks that, you're this really tough negotiator or you're
Yeah.
somebody who is, going out there always trying to win, I guess every situation, then it could lead to, other agents not wanting to work with you, right? And it could lead to other agents not, of course, not wanting to refer their clients who they've built up, long-term relationships with, who they have a good rapport with. They don't want you to take care of their client because they know the style or how you work, right? Which is, not flattering to them. So they don't want to introduce you to their client either. So this is something I think a lot of agents should, take into consideration as well. It's not just keeping good relations, of course, with your clients and people who are outside of the industry, but also maintaining good relationships, serving, giving, leading with value inside of the industry with other agents as well. Because, like you mentioned, you could be doing referral deals, right? Obviously, across cities, across state lines here in the US, but maybe even internationally, right? Especially as a luxury focused agent like yourself, I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities for international collaboration as well with different clients moving in and out of the country.
Absolutely. And I always tell agents to work in your area, but refer it out. Don't drive 2 hours to try to sell a house somewhere else. Find the expert in that area and let them do it. And you can oversee it, but a little bit, but if you're not boots on the ground there, you're not going to know what's going on, in the trenches. And you can't really do a great service for that client. So, stay within your area, get to know it, be the expert in that area, and refer out. You're going to build so many more relationships. Why do a deal halfway somewhere else when you can do it? You can give it to someone, make a referral fee, and still continue to work in your own business. That's a downfall of a lot of new agents. They're like, oh, I'm going to take this, deal somewhere else. And then we're partners in our company, and I'm the marketing director. My husband's the broker, and we have another partner. And they'll ask us, like, I'm doing this deal in whatever, 4 hours away. I'm like, I don't know the ordinances, and I don't even want to try to, figure it out. And you don't want to get sued, and neither do we. So you should consider either co-listing it with someone or just referring it out because and if it's a buyer, what are you going to do? Drive 4 hours to show a property? You can't properly serve someone outside of your immediate area. So stay in your lane and just serve people the right way. Don't try to do it all.
Yeah, there's more than one way to capitalize on business opportunities as an agent,
Yeah,
right? You don't have to be the individual who is doing everything. So I think
right.
it's a great mindset to have because, is it even worth, the time that you're spending to drive
Yeah.
2 hours or four
Exactly.
hours out of your where you could find, a better client who's closer to you or more clients that you can serve in that, in your area, in your service circle as well. So I think that's a really good mindset to have. Now, kind of switching gears a little bit, I want to get your experience, get your take on, your jump into coaching, right? You obviously have coached a lot of agents. You're in a position where you're leading the agents in your office as well. So what was it, that made you have this shift where you said that you wanted to go into coaching? When was that during your career? And, how did that lead to, where you are today, where you're serving a lot of agents pretty much around the country?
Yeah, so real estate has always been core. I've never stopped that. The coaching I do that, I'd say on the side. Like when someone wants to work for, I haven't really promoted it. You can go to coachwithdebbi.com and sign up with me. I don't push it out there. It's there and people will call me and I will coach from time to time or people will refer me, but it's not something separate. Real estate is my 100%. Coaching comes in when I have a client. I'm always happy to take new clients. I'm always learning new things to teach agents, but it's a commitment. And I think there's a lot of people who, well, most agents get a lot from their companies, right? So companies usually offer quite a bit. And I love speaking. I did a Zoom coaching with some agents for another company. I love doing that. It doesn't matter what company people are with. I'm happy to share my expertise. And, it could come back as a referral as well, sometime to a deal. But yeah, it's just kind of there. I do it when people want to coach but I do it quite often in the office because so when someone comes into the office, we just hired someone yesterday. So once they go through the initial with the office manager, then I'll sit with them and I'll go over tools and all the things that we have. And then I will say, if you want to do further, let me know. I'm happy to sit down. But a lot of them just kind of, even though I'm there, once in a while they'll call on me. I ran into someone in the car wash. She's like, Debbi, and she's like, I have a question. So I'm always coaching on the fly, and I always have the answer. It's the weirdest thing, knock on wood. I don't know. Like I said, oh, they don't want to stage, do virtual staging. She's like, really? I'm like, pull up on my phone. This is virtual staging. It looked really great. She's like, wow, I knew I should have called you. So I'm constantly doing that sort of thing. But I do like the formal, like if they wanted to start once a week for a month and if they want to go 2 and 3, depending. But I notice a lot of times because I have so many ideas because I've been doing this and I'm always learning new things. I think they get a little nervous about like not failing, but just not following through because I offer a lot and they really have to want to do it. If someone wants to do it, you really want them to implement it. So I'll continue to do coaching on the side and, of course, continuing to coach with my agents and stuff. I would one day like to we just got our Italian citizenship. So I would love to build the coaching side more because I would like to live in Italy for an extended period of time one day. And the coaching would be great because I have to work. I go crazy if I'm not doing something structured. So aside from my coaching and my full-time real estate career, I'm writing my fifth book. And after this, I got to focus and sit down. Real estate's easy because I'm running around and I'm talking to people. And the book, I have to actually sit down and focus 100%. So, yeah, I would love to be able to travel or to live in Italy for a period and just coach. And that would be really fun for me. I just love giving back and I love I love inspiring people. And I have so much information. I guess you asked, how did it happen? It's just the amount of knowledge I have. I just feel like I want to share. It's just kind of bottled up inside. And I'd love to see someone take and fly and go with it. And of course, everyone has to do it the way it works for them. You don't have to do it my way. But you get a lot of nuggets and then you figure out what's your blueprint, what works for you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right, that you mentioned there's a lot of people who will ask you questions when, they see you out there, but it's really difficult to commit to like a coaching relationship. And going all the way back to the beginning when you were talking about how when you started, you found your mentor and everything they told you, you listened to it, pretty much to a T, and then you followed along the blueprint and you were able to be successful quite quickly. So there's a lot of agents, I'm sure, who will be more than happy to ask questions, but when you sit down with them and you say, hey, you got to go do this, this, and this, you mentioned they will question you, or sometimes they're like, well, maybe I'll do it this way instead, right? And that's just something I think, comes about when it comes to every industry, right? Is that something that you're seeing as well, that people will just kind of, they're not necessarily willing to commit, but they want to get as much information as possible and maybe kind of do it their own way. And I'm
Right.
guessing there's to
Or
it
on
to
their own
both.
time, things come up in life. Things come up in life for everyone. Oh, I'm going through divorce now. Oh, I just don't have the time. But when someone says that to me, I can always know you have the time because I do so many things and there's no way I mean, what are you actually doing? Like schedule your day, put it on the calendar, stick to it. And if you miss something, don't beat yourself up, move it to the next time slot or day. But I think that people just don't like to be held accountable. And I call myself an accountability coach because when you work with me, we work together for an hour. And then during the week, I'll nudge you. How's that going? Did you do that? Did you make that contact? Did you write that note? And then I have tools and ways for them to implement easily. But it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job. It's not, this is not passive.
Exactly. And I think that you mentioned accountability as something that's, it's kind of the standing in the way between a lot of agents and them being able to reach their full potential. And I think it comes down to, making a commitment to not other people per se, but making a commitment to yourself and then having to follow through on that. And I think that is maybe one of the most important things we can be doing because when we start not following through with our own commitments to ourselves, that could be a really challenging path to go
Right,
down, right? Of,
right.
self-respect and self-esteem and kind of losing that for yourself because you can't even, I guess, stick to your own schedule. How can you possibly stick to the promises that you make to other people?
Oh, they have excuses. Oh, well, if I have a deal, I'll follow it. I mean, I'll rise to the occasion, if I have a deal, when I have a deal, it's like, no, you need to do it every day and you need to get that, knowledge and skill before you can get that experience. Yeah, people have a lot of excuses.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then, just kind of wrapping up for today, just wanted to kind of get your take on, you did mention a little bit on managing your schedule, but, clearly you do a lot, right? You're coaching other agents, you are serving your clients to the best of that business as well. You're writing multiple books and you host your own podcast. So how do you do it, right? How do you find the time or create the time in your own schedule to make sure that you're not overwhelmed and you are able to actually stick to it, like you mentioned? Writing your fifth book, and then also continuing to work in your business and having structure so that way you're
Right.
not just all over the place.
Right, right. So I've gotten better. I used to never schedule, and everyone would say, "How do you not put anything in your calendar?" I used to not have a calendar. I'm still not perfect at it, but I do try to put like today. I had my hard stops in my computer today, and I'll in my iPhone or whatever. So I've got to get better at the iPhone, but I did try other apps and stuff, but really, you look at your calendar on your phone. So going to another app wasn't helpful. I always ask, is there a perfect app for you guys? And people will say this or that. So just putting it in my calendar, just on, having it there. And then I just started. So of course, because I'm AAA type, I'm like immerse myself into AI, trying to learn overwhelmed by the amount of tools, but I have the chat GBT, powerhouse one, 5. I use that a lot. And then I also just started, I'm testing right now. I'm on my seventh or fourth day or whatever of Fixer AI. What it does is because emails, that's where I get last night. I was supposed to write my chapter and I got bogged down with so many emails. But so I have two programs. One is called Sane Mail, and that categories is all the crazy emails you get into different categories. And most of it like could be promotions or marketing. I don't even need to go in. And I have like 10,000 under promotions right now, right? I just don't even have the time to unsubscribe from all that. But then the more popular one, the more important ones come up. So that's what Sane Mail. But then the other thing I just started, I'm testing right now is called Fixer AI. And that actually shows me that I have to respond. And then it will highlight it and then it will draft a response. And I can look at it. And because I'm anal in the way I send my emails, it has to be Arial narrow and it has to be medium font. So I go in and edit, and sometimes I may change it a little bit, but it's pretty darn good about how the AI responds. And I know, so now it's there and I know, oh, I got to respond, I got to respond. And so I'm definitely going to subscribe to that. Because, oh, and it also marks in, it told me that we had a meeting today at 9:30. And I missed our meeting last time and I was so upset with myself. I didn't know how I missed it. But it said in the Fixer AI, it said that we had the meeting today and you were nice enough to send an email stating we had a meeting. So I really think that's going to be really helpful for me. I think that's going to be a game changer for me. But I don't use a lot of, I mean, yes, I use apps for social media and different things, and I have a lot of apps doing crazy things. But I think Fixer and Sane Mail keeping me a little sane with the email.
Right. Yeah. So these tools, right, that a lot of agents use, they're important, right? So
Yeah.
it's great to learn these things and learn how you can just basically take time that you probably shouldn't be spending doing, maintenance tasks anyways, and then just
Right.
finding ways to kind of cut more out of, cut more out of your schedule so that you can add more important things like working on your book, like maybe meeting with another coaching client, of course, serving your clients as well. So I think it's really cool. And yeah, Fixer's been a big one. I think a lot of agents
Oh, you tried
are
it?
I
Are
haven't
you
tried it
using it?
personally. I know I
Yeah.
haven't tried it personally. I've seen a lot of agents use that with managing their emails, and I know it's a big one for a lot of people
Oh, good.
helping.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon it and I'm very happy with it. And the reason why it's hard, so where these, I think it's called Monday or something, some scheduling app called Monday or something. The problem with me in doing an app like that is then you have to go find the app and then you have to go into the app. With my iPhone calendar, it's there. When I'm on my email, Fixer's there. It's because as we get busier in real estate and as more people or AI or just salespeople are hitting us up. We get hit up left, right, and center. It's like, oh my God, no, 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 no. Then you start, and then you're like, just try the app for 7 days. You're like, and then all of a sudden you don't even know what you have anymore. So try to keep it slim. Try not to overwhelm yourself. Maybe ask someone if they're using that tool. I don't care if someone wants to ask me my opinion about something, they're welcome to call me. I'm happy to share. I'm always happy to give back. But do think, I just want to leave you with this. Mentors they're so invaluable. That's someone who is in the trenches doing what you do. And think of the time just talking to my 25-year-old self and the younger people, and people are probably 20 starting out in real estate now, but just think of it as instead of going to MBA school or, business school or this or marketing school or whatever, think of the 2 years that you may not sell anything. You probably will, but think of those 2 years as school, your mentorship, coaches, taking the courses from your real estate company, doing the designations, going on tour, immersing yourself in the business. You are in the business. You might not be selling anything yet, but you are in the business. So be in the business.
Absolutely. Debbie, just want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciated your time. And for our listeners out there that want to learn a little bit more about what you do, that want to collaborate with you, maybe they want to, be under your tutelage and your coaching as well. What are some of the best ways for people to reach out directly to you and learn a little bit more about what it is that you do?
All right. So the easiest way is text message, and I will pick up the phone after I see I have a text 510-414-6777. You can also go to debbidimaggio.com. I changed my names, the spelling of my name in kindergarten. It's Debbi, and then DiMaggio, Dimaggio, debbidimaggio.com. I'm all over the internet. And you can also go coach with Debbi, Debbi, coachwithdebbie.com. But calling me, book an appointment, would love to help you. Happy to have a conversation, happy to answer a question and see if you want to go further. And love referrals. I work in the East Bay Area, Piedmont, Oakland, Berkeley, across from, and I'm doing a little bit back, going back to San Francisco a little bit, and then also the West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Silver Lake, LA area. And I have a team now. My husband and I have worked together for 35 years, and now we have some other people working with us, including our son. And yeah, happy to help. Thank you so much. This is really fun.
Absolutely. We'll make sure to leave the links and the information to reach out directly to you, Debbie, in the description, the show notes down below. But other than that, did you have any just, last nuggets you would like to leave with the audience before we let you sign off your day?
Yeah, sure. I would say I created this thing called the 5 C's of real estate. Let me see if I just created it the other day. Let me see if I can remember it. Collaboration is key, consistency, um, oh, what was the other one? Collaboration, consistency, communication. I'm going to leave you with three. Five's too many. Communication, 100% important. Communicating with lenders, communicating with your colleagues, your office staff for marketing, getting your listings out there, communications with other agents, and of course, your clients. So, communication, service providers as well. Communication, collaboration with everyone, as we discussed, and consistency. Just keep it up, keep doing it, and don't give up. Just keep going at it. It'll happen.
Absolutely. Debbie, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next show. Take
Thank
care.
you.